4. So this is called the factorization tree. Ready? I see it's divisible by 2 because it's an even number, correct? Okay, 2. Yes, I have 72, correct? Is 2 times 72 144? This is a prime number, I'm done with it. But here, this is a even number, it must be divisible by 2, and then I know the rest will be 36. So then I'm done with this. 36 is divisible by 2 because it's an even number, so 2. So then the rest is perfect. Again, I'm done with this one. 18, divisible by 2. Done here. And the other one is 9. Now I go to the next prime number in line. The next prime number in line is
3.
Good. I know that 9 is divisible by 3, and then the remainder is, I should say, okay. So this is what I count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1 second, Whitney, I didn't forget. 144 equals 2 to 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3 to 1, 2. Yes?
I'm saying, did you have to use the factors 2 and 7?
No, you can do something else, but you have to come down, and this is the tree. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, because I still got that, but I used 12.
That's fine. As you know, I don't enforce a particular method. I just want the knowledge. If the knowledge is there, use any method. I'm fine. So we're working on, is this clear? We should, when you get home, you should choose some numbers that you can think of and practice this. This is very useful. Okay, so translate to an expression. 10 less than 5 times the difference of two numbers. 10 less than 5 times the difference of two numbers. Any idea how to write that in mathematical terms? 10 less than 5 times the difference of two numbers.
10 is less than 5. Is it 5x over 2?
Nope.
I'm not sure if it's
Say it again.
I said, I'm not sure if it's right, but I think I put 5 parentheses x minus 5 parentheses minus 3.
Awesome. So indeed 5, the difference of two numbers, x minus y, less than 10. So let me explain. Let's talk about this for a moment. Let's say you have $100 in your pocket. And I come in and I tell you, I have $20 less than what you have. You have 100, and I come and tell you, I have $20 less than what you have. Do I have 20 minus 100 or 100 minus 20? See the point I'm making? So do I have 20 minus 100 in my pocket or 100 minus 20 in my pocket? Right. So this is a little bit tricky because it's intentional, right? Why don't they say, for example, subtract 10 from blah, blah, blah? They don't. They say 10 less than. 5 times is very clear, right? 5 times. 5 times. The difference of two numbers. 5 times the difference of two numbers. And that is 10 less. Like in my example with $100 and $20 less. So that's the correct translation. You don't have to do anything else about it. Okay, so now let's work on these 5 problems. Let's start with the division. Any questions on this? Any questions on this? Okay, so let's look at the other problem 9. Before we do 9, can we do quickly number 10, the extra credit? The product of 3 numbers, true or false? The product of 3 negative numbers is negative.
False.
The product of 3 negative number, true indeed. The product of 4 negative integers is negative. False. Every time I multiply an even number of negative numbers, I always get positive. The product of two positive numbers and one negative number is positive. False. The two positives don't affect the sign. I have one negative that will change everything into negative. Good. So we're working on these four. Even number of negatives? Even number of negatives is positive. Yes, sorry. Yes. Always an even number of negatives is positive. How are we doing on the division? How are we doing on the division? We always simplify before we multiply. So there's a common factor here. There's a common factor here. I don't want to see all this. Please, Chris. Please. Do it again. So please always simplify before you multiply. Always. We're doing the division. We're doing the division. Always simplify. It's not complete. The simplification is not complete. And it's more difficult with huge numbers. We always simplify. The simplification is not complete. You don't want to get to large numbers and then start going backwards and simplify. How are we doing with the division? We always simplify. Please always simplify complete. Complete. Complete simplification. Always. That's why we talked about so how did we get from here to here? Actually, so all this is good. This is good. But how do we get from here here?
I found that it's unavailable.
We never find least common denominator for multiplication and division. So please make a note. We do not find least common denominator when we multiply or divide fractions. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Only when we add and subtract. Yes? Are you with me? Chris, are you ready?
Yeah, I just had a question. So can you explain to me how I find 14 and 49? What
Yes.
They have in common again?
Yes. 7.
Okay. But like, is there an actual way to like do that? Like,
Yes.
in case I don't know
Yes.
it offhand?
49, we have to remember that 49 is 7 squared. And 14, we have to know that it's 2 times 7.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in the event that it was two numbers that you just couldn't easily look at it and tell, how do you
Then
tell?
at the end, you have to start simplifying.
Okay. See,
Yeah,
that's why I
so-
started doing that. 'cause I
Yes.
didn't realize.
Yes, but that's way more difficult
Right.
than trying to, on the spot, simplify.
Okay. So
I
if you,
know.
so if you don't know, you have to wait until the end to simplify.
Right, so here's an answer for you.
Right.
So when I try to see if there are common factors, in the back of my mind, I have 2, 3, 5, 7. Basically, these are the main ones.
Okay.
Possibly 11 as well.
Okay.
Beyond that, the numbers are too big,
Okay.
right? So I always think to see if they have a common factor of 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11.
Okay.
At least these basic ones I should have in the back of my mind.
No 9.
If it's 9 is not a prime number.
Oh, you're doing it
9
off
is
of
the
prime
3.
numbers.
9 is
why
the
you're
3.
doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Now, if the numbers are divisible by 19, that may be slightly more difficult.
Right. Okay.
Or by 23, which is another prime number.
All right. At least it gives me a point to start.
Yes.
All right.
So, very good question. So, here, pay attention please for 1 second. Chris had a wonderful question. He said, okay, I'm looking at 14 and 49. How would I think of blah, blah, blah? How do I simplify? Which would be the common factor? So, here's my suggestion. At least have in the back of your mind first 5 prime numbers. Always try to see, okay, are they divisible by 2? The next prime number is 3. The next one is 5. Very easy to identify. They have to end in 0 or 5. 7 is a little bit more difficult, and 11 is a little bit more difficult. So these 5 prime numbers should be in the back of our minds. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Okay, so coming back to our division, I copy 3 over 14. Obviously, there is nothing I can simplify. 3 and 14 have no common factor. Here, I cannot simplify. This is 27, this is 49, so I have to change this into a multiplication and flip the second fraction. That's the rule. Divided by 27. And now I do realize that 14 and 49, I divide by 7, and I get a 2. I divide by 7, and I get a 7. I divide by 3 and I get a 1. Please always write the 1. I divide by 27 by 3 and I get a 9. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 9 is 18. And this is the final answer. Okay, do you still need time on the next one or we move on? I mean, we address it. We are ready? Okay, perfect. So now, let me explain the situation here. Yes, although the absolute value bars are not grouping symbols, as we know, I have to perform these operations in here first. And where do I start? Where is my starting point? Inside the absolute value bars. Awesome. So this is what I have to write first. So I have 3 to the third multiplied by negative 1. One more time. Not negative 3 to the third, although it's not going to make any difference. Negative 3 to the third happens to be the same with this. However, negative 3 squared, is this the same thing with this?
Yeah.
The answer is no. Careful. This is positive 9. This is not positive 9. This is 3 squared, which is 3 squared, which is 9, multiplied by negative 1, which is negative 9. So if the power is odd, they're both the same. But if the power is even, they're not. Exactly based on what we just tested here a few minutes ago. So when I raise a negative number to an even power, the answer is positive. But here, this does not say that I'm raising negative 3. This says I'm raising 3, and the result gets multiplied by negative 1. So understand that this means negative 1 multiplied by 3 squared. I cannot assume that I square this, because this power does not touch this. This power touches this. But this power does not touch this.
I have a question. Is it negative 3 squared parentheses 9 because there's a negative 1 in front of it?
You mean on this side?
Yes.
No, because when I raise a negative number to an even power, the answer is always positive. Or you can say negative 3 times negative 3. I'm multiplying two negative numbers. Is this clear? So understand the difference, because this will come back to us later. Okay? In other topics. Good. So then, coming back to our problem. Negative 2 times 16 minus 2 times negative 8. 3 cubed is 27 with minus in front. Are we okay so far? It is the best practice to perform the operations, even if you have to write it 5 times. It's okay. But do it step by step so you don't miss anything. I'm still in the absolute value. I copy everything to the T. So now this is the operation I have to perform next. What do I get? Very good, negative 16 minus 27. Now I have to be here, and at this point, I can do this at the same time. I could have done that from the beginning, really. But I was focusing on the order of operations and clearing the absolute value inside. Good. What is this?
Negative 42.
Excellent. Minus. What is this?
Negative, or would be absolute value of negative 43.
Awesome. Now I have to think. What is the absolute value of negative 43?
It's 43.
With minus in front.
Yeah, it makes it negative.
Right. And the final simplified form?
Negative 75.
Very good. Thank you. We're moving on to the subtraction and then D. So 2/5 minus 3/40. If you feel that you are too slow, it means that you have to review everything you have done and practiced between now and you take the test next week. You should review everything and redo problems. And please do the problems at the end of each chapter in the book, chapter 1 and chapter 2, please. And check the answers in the back. And only then say, I think I'm ready. So are we working on, when I add and subtract, I cannot simplify. I can touch unless I simplify the fraction by itself.
Okay.
Only in a multiplication and only in a multiplication I can simplify. Not in a division till I change it into a product, and never in adding and subtracting fractions. Why do we change this into this? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry. Yes. Okay, we'll have to go over that together. Okay. So start that. How are we doing, Nicole?
You're good with it.
Okay, that's good. Okay, we're working on this. Well, wait. So that's why I recommend put the 8 up here, and you would have not forgotten to multiply and get 16. Because you didn't write it here, you just said 8, but you forgot to multiply by 2. So write it. So you don't make a mistake right here. Just write this and put an 8. Or that. That's fine. How are we doing? What happened to that? Oh, this is what you're doing. I'm sorry. I was looking at. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes. Good. So let's move on then. How are we doing? Okay. How are we doing? Okay. Good. Okay. We're gonna work on that together, but you can start with parentheses. How are we doing? Okay, this is good. We're working on that. You start with the parentheses, eliminating parentheses. How are we doing? Yes. We have to rewrite everything step by step and do a little bit at a time. So, okay, let's finish this one, and I would like to show the other one with parentheses, brackets, blah, 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 okay? So, I think everyone got this correctly. You all found that the least common denominator was 40. Please write a note to yourselves somewhere. Use the method you like, I don't care. But 8 times 2 is 16 minus 3, so this is 13 over 40, so you don't forget. Or like Kirsten, for example, she rewrote the fraction after changing it. That's fine too. Whatever works for you, I'm fine. So now let's write this long expression with a lot of grouping symbols in it. So here it is. 4, braces, 3, bracket, 5, parentheses, negative y plus 3, minus 9, close the bracket, minus 3, close the braces, minus 2, y minus 8. I highly recommend when you get something like this, rewrite it in your own handwriting. Okay? Because it's kind of difficult to look at it and say, oh, I know what I have to do. So now it's very clear. Once I have it up here, it's very clear where I have to start. I have to eliminate this, and I have to eliminate this. That's my starting point. So remember, first step, parentheses have to go away, then brackets have to go away, and finally braces have to go away. Okay, bless you. So one more time, I'm focusing on this and this first. Ready? But I copy everything slowly without changing anything. I copy the 4, I copy the braces, I copy the 3, I copy the bracket, and now what do I write?
Negative 5y plus 15 minus 45. Wait, you don't, oh, no, minus 9.
Close, minus 3, close. Now I reached here. What do I write next?
Negative 2y minus plus 16.
Awesome. Good. Where is my next step? What do I have to do first? Say it again. Exactly. I have to combine like terms here. Don't do anything before you combine like terms in here. Awesome. Well done. I copy as is, the 4. I copy braces, I copy 3, I copy the bracket. And what I have in brackets is?
Negative 5y.
Very good. Close the bracket, minus 3, braces, minus 2y plus 16. So I'm done with this. Now I'm here. This is one I want to eliminate. This I want to go away. That's where I'm at. Here. This has to go. I have the 3. What is the operation right here? I don't see any operation. Right. So in order to clear this, I have to distribute. So tell me the next step. Nope. You're right. But I have to copy 4 first. I have to copy the braces. And yes, negative 15y plus 18 minus 3, close, minus 2y plus 16. Is it clear now that it seems like it's the unknown has been uncovered, right? when you take it piece by piece, it doesn't really look as difficult as initially. When you look at it, oh, what is this, right? Would you agree that you feel a little bit better about this problem now? By simply decomposing it and slowly, step by step? Is that is yes? Okay, perfect. So now what would be the next step?
Create negative 15 plus 18.
Yes, I can't touch this, but I have to simplify this by combining like terms. That's my next step. Slowly, so that this is 4, negative 15y plus 15, close the braces, minus 2y plus 16. I'm done with this now. And this is my final step before I combine like terms. What is the operation right here?
Distribution.
Right, it's multiplication, so I have to distribute, and these will go away. So what will be the next step?
Distribute what?
Good. So then minus 60y plus 60 minus 2y plus 16. And now finally, what do I write?
Like terms negative 60y minus 2y.
Negative
Wait.
62y.
Negative 62y plus
76.
plus 76. So once you take it slowly and decompose it piece by piece, then it doesn't look that difficult. Okay. And the last one here. And let's move on. So we have 1 over 16 divided by negative 1 over 4. This is what I would have done with this problem. I'm looking at the first number is positive. I'm looking at the second number is negative, and I am dividing them, which means the answer must be negative. I will take care of this symbol right away, so I don't have to mess it up or I don't have to worry about it later. So I have 1 over 16, and I have to flip this because it's division. 4 over 1. Yes, I will simplify. 4 by 4, 16 by 4, and the final answer is negative 1/4. Okay, let's start the other one that I just gave you, please. So let's start by solving these inequalities. I would like to get to the end of this, so I think we should start with the word problems maybe, and the equations, because otherwise we're not going to be able to finish in 30 minutes. So let's pick and choose on this one. So for example, evaluating the expression, I think this is clear. We had an example like that. The two angles are complementary. We can do this one if you want. Find the area. We just did one. I think we are okay with this. Find the area and the perimeter of a rectangle, so that's okay. I like to work on the percent problem. So 4 and 6. We just did. Kristen just asked us about this, so this is done. It's just a different type of problem. Maybe work on 7. This was done already. We should choose an equation from here. And just one inequality from here. So let's start. Please choose one inequality. I would recommend the inequality part C. So let's work on C. So we're working on negative 2/3 quantity x minus 4 plus. I have a typo in there. It's 1 over 2, but you can leave it as is. Let's not correct anything. I didn't mean 2 over 2, obviously, but it's okay. So let's work on this problem. I wouldn't distribute it. We'll work on it right now. Okay, so it appears that this inequality creates some issues. So let's work on it together. How many denominators do I see here? Or how many terms I should have asked better first. I see one term. I see a second term. And I see a third term. Do you all agree? How many fractions do I see? I see three terms. How many fractions do I see? Three. Can anyone find the least common denominator of these three fractions? There are three prime numbers. The least common denominator is?
3 times 2 times 5.
Correct. So here's what I would do to make it easier myself. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 3 is 30. So the least common denominator is 30. If I want to eliminate all fractions, what should I multiply both sides each term by? Of course, 30. So we multiply everything by 30 or 30 over 1. That's the best thing to say. Multiply both sides each term by 30 over 1. So 30 over 1, 30 over 1, 30 over 1. Let's take the first fraction on the side. I know it's going to be a negative fraction. Let's take the first one on the side. 30 over 1 times 2 over 3. Of course I will simplify. By what? Of course. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 30 divided by 3 is? So the number in front of these parentheses is?
12.
10 multiplied by 2 is multiplication. 10 multiplied by 2 over 1 times 1, which is? 20. I copy the parenthesis, which is x minus 4. I take the next one aside. Well, it's 30 over 1 times 2 over 2, which is 1. So what will this be? Plus?
15 times 2.
This is 2 over 2 is 1. This is 1. So 30 times 1 over 1. 30. Less than. Now we're taking this on the side. 3 over 5 times 3 over 1. What do I simplify by?
5.
5 divided by 5. 30 divided by 5 is?
6.
Good. So I have 3, 6, 1, 1. So what do I have on this side? So just by simply eliminating fractions, I changed the inequality into a much easier to handle inequality. Would you agree? So I eliminated fractions, multiplying both sides by the least common denominator that happened to be exactly what? 30. And since you are multiplying by 30 and there are fractions in the inequality, always write 30 over 1. So you make it easier and you can take each fraction, each product on the side. Good. So now, of course, I'm going to move 30 to the other side. So I have negative 20x plus 80 less than, or you can keep it and edit later. That's fine. Plus 30 less than 18. So now combine like terms. Negative 20x plus 110 less than 18. Because I added these. And then I move 110 to the other side. So negative 20x less than
Negative 92.
final step.
Negative is positive.
Correct. So what am I dividing by?
20.
I'm dividing by negative 20. So this is 92 divided by 20. So I'm dividing both sides by negative 20. What do I have to do? Yes, never forget that. Very good. And yes, I have to simplify. Both numbers are even. So the factor that must go away from top and bottom, at least for now, is what?
2.
2. 92 divided by 2 is 46. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. For now, I have x greater than 46 over 10, but they're both even numbers. So at least I can get rid of one more factor, which is 2. So 23 and 5. So x greater than 23/5. If I want to present this in interval notation, how do I write it? A number or numbers greater than 23 over 5.
It would be like parentheses, 23 over 5, and then infinity.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so let's do number 2. Solve for t. So we have d equals 2/3 times a times b times t, and we want to solve for t. What will you do first? For sure. Like we just did with the inequality. What did we do the first thing with the previous inequality 2 minutes ago?
We found that this common denominator.
To eliminate? Awesome. So what do you think I'm going to do here?
Multiply by 3.
Awesome. The left-hand side is? Or you can say multiply by 3 over 1, whatever you want. On this side, I will write it as 3. On this side, I will write it as 3 over 1 for convenience. The left-hand side is? Perfect. Now 3 over 1 times 2 over 3. If it's difficult to see, then write it on the side. Very good. So it's 2ABT. I'm solving for t. Final step.
You divide both sides by 2AB.
Of course. And the answer is?
3D over 2AB.
Very good. This is it. So disregard everything else. Assume that they are numbers. Just focus on the variable and apply the concepts that we know in solving equations. The steps, the same steps as if you have numbers. What percent of 35 is 2? What percent of 35 is 2? I need an equation, step by step, each and every word that can be changed into mathematical terms.
Would it be 2 divided by 35
Yes, but I have to write the equation.
equals x?
What percent? So how do I replace this?
2 equals 35.
What do I replace this by?
It's x.
Good. Of. What operation is of? Perfect. 35. What do I replace is by? And 2. Everything you said is perfect. I just needed to show an equation that is represented here. And then you said x equals?
35.
2 divided by 35.
Very good. So now, oops. So now with the calculator, when I divide 2 by 35, I get x equals 0.05714. But I need percent. Can anyone tell us how do I change this into percent?
It'd be like 5.7%.
Exactly. I move the decimal period 2 spots to the right. So this is approximately 5.71%.
If we had put 5.7%, would that been accepted?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Find the original price of a sofa if the sale price is $240 after a 30% discount. Find the original price of a sofa if the sale price is $240 after a 30% discount. So I am paying $240. I'm at the cashier's. I'm paying $240 to get my sofa. I'm asked, find the original price that was discounted by 30% of what?
240 of the sale price.
Of the original price. Very good. So we do not have the original price, but we know that the original price was discounted 30% of the original price. How do I write that?
X minus 0.30x.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So from the original price, we subtract 30% of the original price, and we end up paying $240 at the cashier's.
Why is there an X after 30?
Of
So X
the original price.
So X represents the original price.
Yes. From the original price, we subtract 30% of it to get to 240. So now, let's combine like terms on the left-hand side. What will you say?
0.7x.
Exactly, 1 minus 0.3. Very good. 0.7 or 70x equals 240. So now how do I get x?
Divide 30% by 0.7.
Exactly. So I take my calculator and I have 240 divided by 0.7 and I get 342.86. 342.86. Now if we have any doubts, that this is indeed the original price, how do I check? I plug this back in here. 342.86 minus 0.3 times 342.86, and I have to get this number. Let's check. So let's plug it in. 342.86 minus 0.3 times 342.86. For rounding, it may be slightly different than 240, a tiny bit,
Right.
because of rounding. Any questions? I would like to look at an equation and then come back to a word problem. So please choose from any of these equations. This, I think we can do very easily, but maybe one of the two with fractions. I would like to illustrate with one of the two and then a word problem. We did a problem like this last time, so we may not have time to get to it again today, but I would like to do something like this. So I would like to finish up today, unless we have more time to do more, with problem 7 and one of the equations with fractions that you feel like working on. Which equation with fractions do you feel like working on?
We do A.
Yes, let's do it. You want to think for 1 minute or not? Was that a yes or a no?
I'd rather go through it.
Okay, good. What do you think I am going to do? Now you know a little bit about me so far. Factor simplify, that's always in the back of my mind. So what do you think I'm going to do here?
Most common denominator.
Exactly. I see 4 fractions. One with a denominator of 2, the other one with a denominator of 8, the other one with a denominator of 1, and the other one with a denominator of 16. What is the least common denominator here?
16.
Yes. So I will multiply each and every one by 16 over 1. This one does not need 16 over 1. It needs just 16. And this 16 over 1. So now perform the operations for the first fraction in front of x and tell me what to write. Because I talk too much. So what is in front of x in the first term?
16.
Here.
Negative 8x.
Awesome. Do you all agree with negative 8x? Remember to simplify? Good. The next one.
Negative 2.
Next one.
5 minus 8.
Very good. Next one.
One X. We got that.
Now see how a simple simplification gave us this equation instead of that one. When you looked at that one, you said this is impossible, right?
Yeah.
But once we simplify, look how easy this became. So I want you to eliminate the fear of fractions. You can always get rid of them. Always. Is that clear? So now we have to combine like terms. The left-hand side is negative 10x. The other side is this. And I have to move the x to the other side. You can continue writing plus x, plus x, plus x, but it's easier if you say, okay, it was negative on one side, it becomes positive on the other. So negative 10x, but plus x. How much is that?
Negative 11.
Negative 9x equals 80.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So then finally x equals?
Negative 80 over 9.
Yes, negative in front of the fraction line. Awesome. 80 divided by 9. Perfect. Very good. So, see how easy this was today? Kirsten had that question. Now see, now you can do this on your own. We don't have to spend the time on this. Thank you again. So let's work on 7. Let's say we have $3,000 and we want to invest it at 6% annual simple interest. How much should be invested at 9% annual simple interest if the total yearly income from both investments is $585? This sounds impossible, right? Okay, so let me try to take it piece by piece, break it down in tiny little sentences. So we are told if $3,000 is invested, blah, 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 how much should be invested at 9% annual simple interest so that the total yearly income from both investments is this? Okay. So we know that we have $3,000 and we know that we invested at 0.06 interest. We know that we should have another quantity unknown to be invested at 9%. Say it again, Whitney.
So it's 22.
No. So this is one investment. This is the second investment. And we want to end up having $585 on top of our investments at the end of 1 year. So let's read the problem one more time. $3,000, we have $3,000 and we take it to a bank and they give us 6% per year. Then we have an unknown amount of money that we take to a different bank and they give us 9% per year. So we do this on January 1st of this year. We take $3,000 to a bank that gives us 6%. We take an unknown amount of money to a second bank on January 1st. And we take this amount and they give us 9% per year. And on December 31st, we want to go back to these two banks and say, I keep the investment there, but give me what I earned, what my money earned for the year. And then we go to the second bank. I'm keeping the investment there, but I just want to get cash out of the interest that my money earned in your bank. And then we go home and we count those the two sources of income, and we have $585. So obviously, $585 comes from two sources. Some is going to come from the first bank, and the rest will come from the second bank, right? So this is the first bank giving us an interest on $3,000, and this is the second bank giving us an interest on X that we don't have. Should I repeat the idea, or is it clear? Yes. So on January 1st of this year, we have two amounts of money. This I know I counted it, 3,000. And I go to the first bank and they will give us, we deposit the money and they will give us 6% per year on of the amount we deposited. Of. Then we go to the second bank and we give this. We didn't count it. I said, I don't know how much it is. Don't even tell me. They say, okay, on this amount, I'm going to give you 9% this year. At the end of this year, I go to the first bank and I say, still keep the money in there, but just give me the interest, my money earned this year. I go to the second bank and say the same thing. Keep the money, but just give me the interest that my money earned at your bank. I go home, I count 585. Put the money together in my wallet, I have 585. So, question is, some money came from the first bank, some from the second bank. It's the same idea with the discount on or of the original price. So I'm getting 6% interest on or of $3,000. And that's what I'm getting back from them at the end of the year. So what do I write?
6% of 3,000.
Right, but I cannot write 6%. I have to write
0.06.
0.06 of what operation is of? Good. Times what? Exactly. And the second bank?
X 0.09
Awesome. Of?
X.
What is the operation? I know you know. I just want to hear it one more time. That's it. So the interest coming from the first for the 1 year plus the interest coming from the second for 1 year on the 31st of December, we have 585. So, how do I proceed? Yes? What do I get? Good. Plus 0.09x equals 585. What do I do next?
Subtract 180 from this.
Very good. 0.09x equals, so I subtracted 180 from both sides. So I get 405.
Is it 180 or? Got it, it's 180.
So then x is? How do I get x? I divide what?
4,500.
Yes, I divide 409 by, 405 by,
109.
yes, and I get 4,500 indeed. Let's say I don't trust this. What do I do? Maybe I have doubts. And I shouldn't have doubts. I should always have doubts and say, did I do it correctly? So how do I check?
Replace x with the amount.
Let's try. 0.06 times 3,000 times plus 0.09 times 4,500 should equal what?
4 or 5.
Should equal 585.